Hi, my name is Heather Jackson. I graduated from Purdue University with a degree in biology and a minor in chemistry. I taught for 2 years at Frankfort High School and Western Boone High School, and then I stayed home for 17 years raising our children. 3 years ago, I came back to work. I was lucky enough to get a job at the high school that I attended in the hometown where I live and my kids go to school. It was an amazing opportunity. And after I had been working there for about 6 months, I won the C. Russell Kurtz Teaching Excellence Award and had a chance to go back to school to get my master's in curriculum and instruction. I jumped at that chance. I have been taking classes online ever since. I also am taking 18 graduate credit hours of chemistry and 18 graduate credit hours of biology in the same time frame. I'm actually in a genetics class right now, and that will finish up my graduate credit hours that I need to be able to teach ACP chemistry and ACP biology. Next year, right now, I teach chemistry and ICP. Next year, I'm going to be teaching ACP chemistry and honors chemistry and forensics. So that's going to be a big difference, and it's going to add 3 brand new preps onto my plate, but I'm super excited about it. And I'm also not in school, so it will be good. I've been married for 23 years to my husband, and we have 4 children, one of which is a freshman at Purdue, which is exciting for all of us. We're really excited that she has made that decision and is pursuing her career there. We also are currently hosting a foreign exchange student from Italy, so that's been very, very interesting. So right now I'm teaching chemistry, and one of the things I really and truly believe is that we need to work on getting our students to be 21st century scholars, that it's really important that they know how to function in the 21st century world. So not only am I focused on science, but we also do a lot of technology. My class is something that I call a paperless classroom, which means that I do everything I can without paper. I try not to make copies at all if I possibly can. I use Google. We live in the Google world. My kids all have Chromebooks, and I am teaching them how to access everything and use those. This learning management system that we have currently is Schoology. I love it. I work hard at that. I'm also on the technology committee, so that's pretty cool. Because I teach chemistry, one of the things that I firmly believe is that it's really important that students be able to problem solve and also do deductive reasoning. Every Friday, we spend 15 minutes doing something that I call data days, which is really just reading graphs, looking at data sets, being able to make draw conclusions from different things. About 2 weeks into school, I introduced something that we call claim evidence reasoning. I'm sure most of you have heard of it, CER. The students in my class start with an interactive simulation where they read things and they practice, they ask questions, they work their way through that. Then we do practice ones that are easy, silly things like Mrs. Jackson is wearing silver earrings. They make a claim, then they give their evidence, and they use scientific reasoning to show that. One of the things that I'm really big on that I make them do every single time we do a claim evidence reasoning is highlight. So they highlight their claim green, they highlight their evidence pink, and they highlight their reasoning blue, green, pink, blue. The reason I make them do that is because a lot of times after they've written their claim evidence reasoning, they go back through that paragraph and they start to highlight. And they're like, all right, here's my claim. And they get it highlighted. And then they're like, all right, here's my reasoning. And they sit there and they think, wait a second, I don't have any evidence. Or wait a second, this evidence doesn't match with my claim. Sorry about that. This is supposed to be impromptu and the dog just interrupted my video. We also have 2 dogs. So anyway, what I was saying was I have them highlight because that helps them to see exactly where they stand on their claim evidence reasoning. Have they done each part of the claim evidence reasoning? So we start that with the simulation, like I said. Then we do easy practice. Then we started on labs. And at the end of the labs, I will ask them either a question or I will have them write a claim evidence reasoning based on the data that they got in the lab. That's a great way to start. One way that I do formative assessments in the classroom, I have some big whiteboards, and I put them in lab groups, and I will give them a data set, and I will say, all right, you guys need to make a graph, and then you need to write a claim evidence reasoning. When they finish that, they have this big whiteboard that they can hold up and present to the class. Then each of them can defend their claim. They can talk about what evidence they saw, why they came to their reasoning, or what reasoning they were using to make those claims. And it's a really great way to work through the scientific method, work through claim evidence reasoning, help them see deductive reasoning, especially as they're watching. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, wow, I didn't think of it like that. And they'll look at, some of the students will use different parts of the data than others do, or they may have different reasoning. Like, for example, a few weeks ago, we did some reasoning on vaccinations, and it was a chart, and I didn't give them any information. I just gave them the graph, and I said, all right, I want you to explain to me why the graph changed from 1920 to 1970. What happened that we don't have this polio? It was a graph on the polio virus or polio, and why it infected the American population, and what changed and what caused these changes. And then also at the end of the graph, in between like about 1990 and 2010, there was another small spike, not nearly as big as the other large spike in like the 1940s. But anyway, the students were supposed to use whatever resources they wanted and come up with reasoning of why this happened. So they had to make a claim. Like, they could see that the claim was, okay, we had a large spike and then it went down, and then they had to come up with reasoning of why they gave that reason, and then they had to have evidence. And we spent a period just talking about what are the different things and what are some different things that came into effect. And they talked about World War II, and they talked about vaccinations, and they talked about the anti-vaxxer movement, and all of those things are relevant. But they looked at different pieces of data or different parts and came up with different reasoning, and it was all valid. But it's a great way to see how different people can change data or interpret data differently. So I use summative assessments in the form of tests and quizzes. I ask them claim evidence reasoning based on data that they've already seen, or data that comes from labs that they've already done that they have to write on labs. They also, or on tests, they also still have to highlight. If it is a paper test, they use handheld highlighters. If it's a computer test, they highlight using just the computer software that allows them to highlight, and just to make sure that they are getting all pieces of the claim evidence reasoning on there. So I think that this is a key concept, because no matter what students end up doing, problem solving and deductive reasoning is important. So right now I teach chemistry, which is the mid-level kids. Next year I'm going to be teaching ACP Chem and Honors Chem. Those are higher kids. Those are your pre-med kids, your pre-vet kids, your kids that are maybe going to go into science in college. It's important to them to be able to know how to write lab reports, how to do these things. But my mid-level kids, these are my firefighters, they're my policemen, they're my EMT, they're my LPN. All of those things these mid-level kids are going to be able to do. But not only are they mid-level, and maybe they're not going to go to college for science, but the truth is that they're going to live in the 21st century. And it's really important that we develop 21st century citizens at this stage of the game. If we think about how much the world has changed 25 years ago from when I graduated from college to how much their world is going to change in 25 years, they are going to need to be able to take data and make good decisions based on that. And that is really what I want them to walk out of my class with. I don't care if they know who invented the periodic table. What I care about is, are they willing to work hard? Are they willing to dig in? And do they have the resources and the information that they need to be able to have to answer questions? Can they find information and then infer a good answer using information? That's what we need. And that's what I think I'm trying to do. So that's why I think that that is a key component of what I'm teaching right now. Honestly, I mean, I have 90 chemistry kids. Chances are not a single one of them is going to be a chemist. And probably most of them are not going to either major or minor in chemistry. But I hope when they walk out of Mrs. Jackson's chemistry class that they are able to look at data and they can make great decisions based on the information they have. So that's where I'm at right now. Thanks so much, and I hope that this little video helped you to learn a little bit about me. Bye.